Welcome, everybody. Who wants to recap last session for inspiration?
We went with Bishop to the fancy dinner party being thrown by Chandria, who was very happy to see us. Um, we were basically given the rundown on what it is that we have been brought here for, which is to aid in the war effort. There is a Fomorian kind of general type that goes by the name of Fleos the Driver, who is being particularly a problem for Chandria, and so we are here to aid in a trap. Basically, at some point, part of this fancy dinner party will be moved to wherever Fleos theoretically is, luring him in for Chandria to murder. Our part in the whole affair is to deal with the underlings while Chandria herself crushes Fleos with her bare hands. We exchanged certain gifts. We met some funny characters, including the Prince of Hearts, a blind fae from the, I believe, Gloaming Court, who has taken an interest in Vicaris. We met Killjoy, I think his name is Killjoy, right?
Uh huh.
Yeah, Killjoy, who convinced, not really convinced, made a deal with Vicaris to get a replacement fork out of the royal dishware in exchange for a spoon that Killjoy already owned. And that is largely it. There was some touring of the Palisades where everybody saw, except for Yop, who is currently asleep, and Zashel, who at the time was resting. Um, saw the army of the giants, the Fomorians outside, lobbing rocks, breaking walls, that kind of stuff. We have been assured while we are in here that we are safe. And I think that is largely it. We were still mingling. At this point, the psychic bond should be down because it only lasted for an hour. And Zashel basically put it up and then took a rest. By the time he was done, it was down.
Mm-hmm.
Trying to think if I have missed anything.
Yop is
Chandria,
trying to sleep.
yeah, Yop is currently actually asleep, taking a long rest. Chandria has sustained some damage that she is hiding with an illusion, as we discovered when she burned the shit out of Vicaris with acid, and then also agreed to wrestle Krellick later again.
Yes. Okay. So we are gonna. I've been going back and forth on this one. This time it's for real. Was it not real the first time?
It was real the first time. It was just a funny thing to say.
Okay.
What? I'm sorry. Wait, what? Huh?
Just chat. Just chat. Okay. Bishop leaves most of you all to go and fetch Yop, alerting her that the wild hunt is going to be arriving shortly. If she wishes to see them, and if she wishes to be there at their entrance.
Sure, I'll join everybody.
All right, cool. So we'll all be together. Yay! To watch the entrance of a master council of hunters, archfey of various lineage, and all dappled in paint that almost immediately obscures them from view. The only thing that kind of helps them stand out against dark shadows and speckled light is simply that they are in a stone chamber. Under the natural light of a forest, they would be nearly invisible. Amongst them is an Eladrin who bears many of the marks of both a warrior and an arcanist, and looks by his degree quite old. And there are also a number of both centaurs and dryads who march alongside. Heading this company is an individual with long brown hair twisted with leaves and branches, and that almost form a circlet and a halo over his head. A weathered and painted leather coat, and bright cat eyes. He is escorted into the hall to and does not give any notice to any of you, as does much of his company before they disseminate. Amongst his company, along with these hunters, as it would appear, there are a number of Eladrin that look a lot like Vicaris, but are all in summer. I believe right now he is in spring, although they all wear the green robes of Senelise and appear to be in a definite escort of the wild hunt. As that group begins to split apart and wander away, there is a voice from behind all of you, kind of draws your attention and just, ah, it's always such a pleasure to have Oberon at table, and I look forward to the company. Tell me, which of you is going to be brought to table number one? And if you turn to look, the Prince of Hearts has, with his own escort of his knights, is once again here to pester you all.
I believe that's me, actually.
Oh, you're the one chosen amongst you, really? That's
You sound
fascinating.
surprised.
Well, I just wouldn't know if that was a decision that had already been made by you and your lot, or if that was even something you knew that you would be asked.
Okay, so I
Yes, it
assume.
was.
I'm just naturally a little surprised at the quickness of your response. But if you are so sure,
What is then the significance of this table?
primary audience with Oberon and Chandria, perhaps also the opportunity to rub elbows with the Lord Frey and Elias, and even the Queen of Cats, as I believe she has made her appearance, although she is avoiding me too. Though she avoids most people, can't really help that one, I suppose. It's front row seats to what is inevitably going to be a petulant squabble. And he grins.
And only one may be selected, yes?
Likely, of your company. Would that be right? And he turns his head vaguely in the direction of your escort. And Bishop says very quietly, "That is correct."
Hmm.
Yep.
Your
Only time will tell.
eagerness, Vicaris.
No?
Yeah, what'd you say?
Your eagerness, Vicaris, is... Can you be trusted with this task?
I would wager that more than any of us, Vicaris is familiar with the ins and outs of FEY court.
True.
It would stand to reason that the local and not an outsider would be the one to go to the High Court.
Seconded.
Also, interesting question to ask somebody if they believe they're trustworthy.
Mhm. It is a frank one.
I mean, who believes themselves to be not trustworthy?
I believe a scoundrel knows a scoundrel.
I raised my hand.
Yes.
And who's this?
Oh, I'm Quelly.
Mm,
I think we met already. Well, I think I saw you, but I don't know that you saw me.
I certainly did not. But I did know you, yes. I know you by your weight.
Wait a minute. How'd you know I had my hand up?
I can hear quite well, darling.
I, as silently as possible, try to raise my hand again.
Could you make me a stealth check? Or a sleight of hand, if you would prefer.
Oh, I'll take a sleight of hand. Okay.
A 4.
Oh. He puts his hand forward to catch your palm and, like, interlace his fingers between your claws. Hello.
I'm not buying it. I think you see just fine.
He bats his eyelashes at you. That's rather rude. Very rude to assume I could say such to you.
How you do it? What's your trick?
My trick? My trick for being able to know where things are without seeing them?
Yeah.
His fingers lightly pull from between yours and tiptoe down your arm and then stop at your chest, about where your heart is. I can feel this.
Mm, mm, okay. So you just got like really good hearing then.
Really good hearing and a sense for the connections of that bond people between people. Yes.
Hmm.
That is a very fancy trick.
hmm I have earned my position by my skill. Were you going to say something, Lauren?
No, I was not. I have nothing to add to this. Sorry.
Okay.
Well, I wonder, Prince of Hearts, do you have any special obligations today, or are you just here to enjoy the festivities?
I believe I already described that I am somewhat here on business. As it happens.
Matchmaking.
Yes, that's it.
If you don't mind my asking, what is your official position that you have earned? You were introduced to us as the Prince of Hearts, I believe, but I imagine that title is what's the word? Um,
Figurative?
A
Thank you.
flowery description.
No, figurative.
Figurative and literal in a fashion. My official position within the Gloaming Court is a master of the people in a fashion, I should say. People like a pretty face and like to listen when I speak, often, or at least most Fae do, anyway. I help bring people together in more ways than one. They like having me around. I'm a people person. And if you prefer, Prince of Hearts, I understand, is a bit of a mouthful. You call me Goodfellow if you're feeling a little rushed.
Prince of Hearts will be sufficient.
So formal.
You are objectively quite charming.
As are you, big fellow.
I do not believe that I am.
Have a quiet patience to you I quite admire.
Noel blinks and then pulls out a tier 2 pamphlet. I appreciate your compliment.
I hear paper. I hope you
Mhm.
don't mean to offend me now.
One of your... I can read it to you if you would prefer.
I certainly would.
Hmm. I will read then. Noel switches to Sylvan. I, Noel Scrivener, am informing you that it takes a beat. I enjoy the smell of old paper. And places the pamphlet in his palm.
He puts a hand to his chest as he takes this piece of paper, and you see a tear roll down his cheek. Oh my dear. He likes me, and he turns around to the guards behind him, and one of them just nods solemnly.
Yeah, Noel just like smiles and nods and says in common, sensible.
And how might you all be occupying your time until we eventually have the table set? It's difficult to determine dinner time when it's always evening here.
I
Preferably.
assume there will be some sort of warning, yes?
No,
10
I
minutes
should hope
until
so.
type thing.
I should certainly
Is
hope so.
is there music playing?
There is actually. There are a number of satyrs who are performing in one corner of the room.
What kind of music is it?
For the moment, it is like very melodious, luxurious music that has a soft rhythm to it.
Okay. Uh, um, I'd like to turn to Yop, hold out a hand, and say, "My lady, may I have this dance?"
Oh my goodness, it's been years since well, of course, Krennic, I would very much enjoy having a dance. And Yop will proceed to attempt to lead.
I will let her.
The prince clasps his hands together and just sighs. Well, if none of you have anything else very interesting to give me, I think I'll wander.
Enjoy the party.
He drifts away.
On the matter of the main table,
Mhm.
I do believe that Vicaris is the correct choice. However, would you speak or state plainly if you seek personal advantage in this endeavor? It is okay that you do. We would prefer to know.
Define personal advantage.
Social capital.
Of course.
You will be acting as pseudo representative of the franchise.
Oh, I don't see why the two are mutually exclusive.
As a technicality, not. It has already been made clear that decisionary power is limited to the two of us. However,
Pseudo.
pseudo, yes, he will be the representative of our franchise. I stand by the idea that he is the most prepared to handle FEY court intrigue.
Mm-hmm. Seconded.
Sarah, am I correct in thinking it's more of an invite than a elected representative type situation?
I mean, Prince of Hearts just said not like 5 minutes ago that was something we would decide, I think.
Oh, I thought I heard invite. Okay, never mind. Then I
It's that one is invited. It's just up to us to decide who
Yeah.
goes. I think.
Yes, there is
Yeah.
a table set. There's a seat at that table set.
The standing
for-
invitation, basically.
Yeah, for one of you, and you have to decide which one of you will take it.
Okay, cool.
I think Lauren's a great choice.
I don't
Or
know.
lucky.
I don't think that's a good idea. I'm not very good with fake customs. I don't really know much, and starts flipping through her book.
Based off my
I only have this much, and she kind of holds it up, and it's scribbles of things Vicaris has done since we've been here.
I don't know. I think you're doing great so far.
I've been staying quiet and standing in the background and hoping not to draw a lot of attention.
not a bad.
She kind of
strategy.
laughs nervously.
I suppose that's better than, speaking out and locking yourself into a contract to fight a giant tree monster at some point.
Mm-hmm.
But,
Oh. Yeah, I
We're all
noticed
here.
Dashiell
It's a
wasn't
party.
super happy with that, and so I'm like, if I don't say anything, surely I can't say the wrong thing, right? Right?
I mean,
Looks
you
around.
Winning strategy.
You really shouldn't feel the need to worry about that. As has been said, the only things that can affect the franchise have been relegated to certain individuals. You are free you are an adult for your species. So
Of
you
course,
are-
but I figured Noel is better educated and he understands paperwork much better than I do, so he probably read about all the things you should and shouldn't do. And I got the handout, but it was a little. It wasn't very interesting. I can't say I read all of it. I did remember something about not saying thank you because that's a thing you don't say. Don't say thank you. And Chandria, was it? She said thank you a lot, and that was weird. I'm like, did I read the right paperwork?
That was weird.
Right.
It
Yeah,
was,
I don't.
Please do try to remember this is a party, and so there may be a certain amount of relaxation allowed. You should avail yourself of it. You don't have to worry too much about saying the wrong thing. Just speak to people. It's a good practice for socializing in future high society functions that we might have to deal with in Saltmarsh as well. If you can survive this place, then you can certainly survive Saltmarsh.
We should disperse and mingle.
I mean,
Before we do,
Saltmarsh felt pretty chill. I mean, when I was hanging out with people, they were really nice and friendly, but
Well, Prince of Hearts is very
Faye are
friendly.
strange. I mean, no offense. They're not strange at all. They're very quirky. Yep.
They are
before we do
extremely
this,
strange.
I have a request. Our decision has just said to relax and have fun, and I would like someone to check me out to see if I'm having a stroke or if I heard that correctly.
We are at a party.
I do not believe you are having a stroke.
That's what one does at a party. That is the protocol.
Oh, yep, there it is. Okay, nope, I'm fine. And he's gonna walk off into the dance floor.
That being said, An eye should be kept on Krellick.
Yop has 2 eyes and, apparently a few feet sometimes on Krellick, so...
It's okay. I'm watching Yop and Krellick. Their dance is very intricate. And she
The more
pulls
the
to a
better.
page, and there's like dance move, and circles drawn on the page. I don't understand this dance stuff.
Noah's like peering over your shoulder, very interested. Yes.
Like those football formations, but with dance.
Yes, dance is formula.
Sarah, can I try to dirty dancing Yop, like lift Yop into the air?
I need a fucking tango out of these two as we're shit talking them. Just all of a sudden, just tango.
I would be happy to let you just be able to dance, but if you feel like this merits a check, we can go with a check.
Now, Krellick, back up about 10 steps.
Okay.
And, now get ready, because I'm going to come rushing towards you, and you're going to lift me up into the air.
You got 5 inspiration. I will burn on this, just saying.
Is it 1, 2, 3 go, or is it 1, 2, 3 then go?
It's 1, 2, 3, go.
Can I inspire this really quickly?
No, I don't think so. Yop. Make a performance check with advantage. It's not a fumble. That is not a fumble. That is a perfectly, plainly executed lift.
Suitable.
Right, my jump gets me about 8 inches off of the ground.
But Krellick has the muscle to pull you up a little higher than that.
Krellick's just doing a deadlift at this point.
Krellick tries to grab your pants, but,
There are no pants to grab
There's
onto.
a moment of fumble, and then he gets Yop in the air.
I like to think that Betty gets her head underneath and is like trying to shove up.
All right, cool. Congrats. Vicaris, where are you headed? There's some interesting figures on the map. Anyone take your notice, your attention?
Quite a few, actually. But do I recognize anybody in particular?
Why don't you roll me a history check?
Sorry, I haven't brought up my page yet.
Okay. You can alt double click your token and it'll do it. Okay. Notably, up on the up here on the ledge, there's Oberon. There is also over here, there is the Prince of Hearts who is speaking to, I'm going to say with a 19, you could probably recognize. I think you saw him in passing, perhaps. He is unattended. An Eladrin who has fading scar tattoos, and he would appear to be a spring Eladrin, except that his skin has turned an unusual shade of sea foam and blue. He does not appear to have a lot of the same affectations of a seasonal Eladrin. There is... You could guess, I would say with a 19, appropriate to assume that is Lord Elias Alstai. Lord of the Coral Court. There is one of the Master Rangers up here who was who is attending the Wild Hunt with Oberon. There is the woman you spoke to earlier. There is the Dryad woman, anyway. There is a woman who has, it would appear, 6 arms, all very long and spindly, and her face mostly obscured by a very large hat over here. And then back over here, there is, just as you can just make out in the darkness, glowing golden eyes.
very intriguing. I do want to start with the seafoam guy, though.
All right, excellent. Okay, you can head right over there. There
I'll
is.
wait to relay that information to everybody else before I dip out.
Again, he appears to be unattended. The Prince of Hearts, a good fellow, has his knights with him. They are talking in a kind of hushed and curious manner. And then as you approach, the prince just sort of turns his head in your direction. Oh, there he is! And the other turns in your direction and says, "Oh, hi. Uh, you were just being, what's your name again?"
Oh, my name's Makaris. It's fine. I'm not very well known around here. I wouldn't expect you to know it.
No. The name I recognize. It's just I haven't really had a chance to see your face yet. Hi. And he sticks out his hand, and he says, I'm Elias. And we heard your name before. Do you have a family name? No.
Oh, I do. Jarlashant.
Oh, okay. All right. Yeah, something about, Senelise, I think. Right?
Something to that effect, yeah.
Yeah. He has, like, very short cropped hair, which is rather unusual. He has also the marks that the tattoos that indicate a soldier, but they are fading very, very quickly. Like they are not sticking to his skin as it would appear. Um, uh, he's also a little dodgy. Not he seems very nervous as well. And he says, I heard that you're here from the material plane, right?
That's correct. Went on a short mission that turned into a much larger one, and we are here for a visit for the festivities.
Oh, that's great. Good to hear. I have heard that you have interest in a position on the Council of Stars, or are you looking for a lesser position? Just out of curiosity.
I'm not against making my way up by taking smaller positions, but I think Council of Stars is a great, great goal to have.
I mean, I suppose. Well, as one young fella to another, I would suggest, and I mean this in the most generous way I possibly can, take it easy, you know? I didn't find myself in this position by necessarily wanting it, and in fact, most of us haven't. And he kind of looks around and he sticks his hands in his pockets, and the prince puts his arm around him and says, "Oh, don't be so silly. That is the most absurd advice I think I have ever heard. If you wish to ascend, child, you have to really want it and do something that is worth ascension. Even Elias here has done that." And Elias's face flushes and he turns a deep shade of blue, and he says, "Well, I wouldn't say that was necessarily what happened." And nonsense. No, see, Elias, I don't know how. The prince puts his hands out and catches your arm, and like presses his thumb against your skin, or like to the surface of your muscle, and like feels down your arm. "Oh, you are very young, aren't you? No, you probably don't remember at all. No, this fellow just simply killed off the last master of the Coral Court. Something like that ought to catch somebody's attention." And Elias looks incredibly flustered and uncomfortable.
Well, that's quite interesting. Do you mind why I asked why you did that?
Well, mostly it was under orders. Uh, well, see, the last master of the throne was a betrayer, and he tries to like shrug off the prince's arm to very little success, and and says he was willing to sell Titania's secrets to the Queen of Iron Darkness, and well, it put the kingdom at risk in fashion, and more appropriately, put our kingdom, my home, at risk. And me and my sister uh, happened to know enough about it that we were able to step in and interfere, mostly on order. Uh, but I don't. I mean, I would have done it even without being instructed.
It's awfully valorous of you.
Well, I mean, one of the most important parts of living in the Feywilds and being master of it in any way is understanding the importance of there being balance. And anyone who tries to upset even the balance of this place is, well, they put everybody at risk. This plane is fragile and can be broken. And when you have powers like these, and he kind of looks around at the room with his hands still in his pockets. Well, these people are strong, and many of them are. And he looks at the prince, and then stops speaking. I just it's not all about being able to flex your power and being the greatest presence in a room. Sometimes it's about being the legs under the table that keep it standing, you know?
That's very interesting advice.
Uh,
Any suggestions for me?
well, do you answer to anybody right now?
Sorry, say that one more time.
Do you answer to anyone right now?
Not technically, no.
Hmm. He finally pulls his hands from his pockets and pushes the prince off of him, who dusts himself off, feigns some offense, and gestures for you to walk with him.
Yeah, I'll definitely follow.
Okay. He takes you a little ways away and says, all right, you don't really have well, you're wearing green. Smart. If you want to impress anyone, you have to have someone you want to impress. Someone specific.
I think, Lady Chandria, I think that's kind of what we're going at, yeah?
She's good. I mean, she has her aunts here, for sure. But she's also not particularly liked amongst the rest of the council. I mean, I think she's fine, but Oberon's
Is
never
that-
really liked her.
Then do you think I should go all the way to the Queen?
Well, that's a smart thing, isn't it? I mean, it got me here.
Well, I mean, it's definitely the smart play, but impressing her is quite a bit of a task.
Yeah, I don't suppose you have any ideas.
I mean, I'm collecting relics from the Prime Material Plane, but as far as a big gesture like taking out a council member that that's a potential threat to the court, that's not exactly equal.
He flushes again and says, I mean, I think that would depend on the types of relics that you happen to collect. That you happen to be collecting.
It's mostly trinkets of unknown origin, but I can definitely keep an eye out for something better. Although, certainly it's something I've been keeping my eye out for something constantly.
Hmm. Well, maybe there's something you can do. Maybe not a big gesture, but just a show of power or something. My sister's a very, very powerful sorceress. She has almost limitless control over the ocean. It's spectacular, and I don't think that we would have managed to get where we are today if it weren't for her. Do you have any sort of are you any sort of asset of that nature?
I have recently come into a new power, as it were. I have the ability to create anything, although it is for a certain amount of time. And I also have the ability to breathe life into things, but again, only for a certain amount of time.
Well, that's not nothing.
Certainly.
What's the exchange?
Oh, I mean, the exchange is that it is not permanent.
Does it come from anything, and you just find it, or
It's part of the research, really. Started out as desperation, but I'm able to tap into the weave by the origins of the separation of the planes, and through that, I can manipulate things and create magical effects. And as I said, breathe life into things and create things out of nothing.
and they just come from really nothing? They're not like stolen from something else. Even this life force.
It's a great question. I don't know if I thought that far into it. When I create things, sometimes it's weaving together materials specifically. So I'm not necessarily creating something out of nothing. And then I think in some cases too, I can pull something from another area. But um, it really depends on what I'm trying to make.
Hmm. Well,
The way
I'm not.
the way
Hmm?
reality works too is eventually it's going to want those things back. I think that's why what I create isn't permanent.
Right. You're probably right about that. I mean, I'm not really one for that sort of thing. And he rubs the back of his neck again. But if I were you, since I mean, if this is really an act of desperation, as you said, I would investigate that further before you really presented that, just in case. You never know. I mean, especially especially in a place like this, magic is finite.
That's a great point. Thank you for that.
Yeah. Listen, I it might be a bit selfish, but it wouldn't hurt to no longer be the youngest member on council. Yeah, elbows you.
It would be a great honor to be the youngest person on council.
How old are you, by the way?
Let me check again.
You've undergone some aging and de-aging.
Yeah, that's why I had to look it up again. I am 157 years young.
Whew, okay, alright, okay. He he kind of hisses through his teeth. You might have a ways to go. And he slaps you on the shoulder.
I think I should point out that it wasn't exactly linear years. There was a bit of, let's call it influence over my age that I didn't have control over.
In a In which direction?
Forward.
Oh. You're barely out of the dreaming, aren't you? Okay. Okay. Whew, you would be. You made me feel old just now. He waves his finger.
I mean, you look it, and he's gonna tap him on the shoulder.
Well, if you need anything, feel free to ask. I'm here on behalf of my sister, and I'm not particularly interested in most of this anyway.
Careful, I just may take you up on that offer.
I would hope you would.
Well, it was wonderful meeting you, Lord Elias.
I look forward to being able to put Lord before your own name, of course.
I look forward to that day as well.
Okay. Lauren, what are you doing?
I think after watching Yop and Krellick dance, she would attempt to go and dance on her own on the floor, trying to imitate their dance moves from before, but solo.
Can we invite Lauren to come dance with us? I mean, if she wants to.
You can.
Krellick, look at Lauren over there.
Oh, hey, she's got some moves. You see that?
She does. I think she could really up our game a little bit.
Yeah. Hey, maybe we all can like salt marsh. We can get like our own dance team together.
Oh, that's a wonderful idea, Krellick. Listen, I got an idea. Let's we'll swing around in ever larger circles until, oh, hey, what do you know? We're right next to you, Lauren. Why don't you just dance with us?
Gotcha.
Sure.
Oh, wonderful.
How do you dance with 3 people with the dance?
No, it was very simple. And I'd take Lauren's hand and have a hand on Krellick's hip, and now I'm attempting to lead both of them.
Excellent.
I will try to follow them. I've never done a 3-person dance. This is me, the player.
I'm
Yeah.
There's a reason you haven't.
That's because it's not generally a thing.
Okay, hold on. All right, you're stepping on my toes now.
I'm
Okay.
caught on your drift globe hook. Hold on 1 second.
Oh, I think that's my foot. Ow!
a dryad drifts over to the 3 of you, and says, "Might I cut in?"
I looked at Yop. She's leading.
Oh, well, certainly. You have your pick, I guess.
She grabs Krellick.
Oh, okay.
Say, are you with the young one who was asking about the fork earlier?
We the folks. Yeah, I was looking for a fork. Yeah.
Hello. She smiles.
Hello.
I understand you're here as a guest from the material plane?
Yeah, we's all from Saltmarsh.
Have you been asked by chance about the event following dinner?
What of it? I heard there was gonna be like a lot of food, maybe like a big fancy dessert.
There ought to be. I mean, after everyone has been filled, there should be an arrangement made for the people here. There's a bit of a lure being set. Do you know anything about that?
No.
Could you roll me a deception check?
Sure can. It's a 17.
Okay. Mhm. She says, it's very charming, actually. It's one thing that we found very pleasant about folks from your world, that you're capable of just saying things that aren't true.
Well, I'll say a lot of things that ain't true.
Yes, it's a very unique skill. How do you do it?
Well, it takes a lot of time to get good at it, but I always found that I could just tell someone something, and then because I was bigger than them, they didn't want to say anything different.
That's very clever.
Yeah, yeah. I mean, it's real easy. All you gotta do is like, break a finger, and then no one fucks with you about it.
Ooh, so you're strong.
I mean, I'm pretty strong.
Do you think you're strong as the princess?
Hmm. I don't know.
Hmm, that doesn't sound very confident. It also just might be another one of your lies.
It could be, but how would you ever know?
It's a very good question. Do you think that the princess is strong enough to fight off the driver, as she intends?
I mean, look, Sindri is like the baddest around. I think that whatever she wants to get done is getting done.
I mean, she wants very badly for this war to end, but just keeps dragging on and on and on. Many people die because of her, on both sides.
I mean, what is it that big what's the FOMO even want? Like, what's they even angry?
They like the pretty things of this place. They want them for themselves. They like the daylight, and they don't get it. They like life, fresh and pure water, and the essence of the tree, the lifeblood of this plane. They're
I mean,
jealous.
it's a pretty big place. I mean, it seems like there's enough sunshine for everyone.
There should be. Agreed. But, Titania and Chandria, they're both rather bitter women. They don't like to share.
What about you?
I'm very giving. She grins.
Hmm. Say, what's your name?
My name is secret and private, but they call me the Maiden of the Harvest.
Well, I mean, alright, so if you's all like in charge of the food and all that, then I mean, why don't you just give some to those angry giants out there and then they go away?
Because I'm not allowed to. Chandria and Titania do not let me.
Hmm. I think my friend Noel would probably say you need to file some paperwork.
I don't think I know what that means.
I don't know what that means, Alpha. He just says it a lot.
You have faith that the princess could actually eventually win this war?
I mean, she's real strong. I think so.
The song ends, and she bows deeply to you, and the leaves of her hair drift and scatter across the ground. And she says, "It's nice speaking to you."
See you around, Secret.
She goes away.
I'll make my way over to Yop and Lauren, and just say,
Man, that lady was weird.
That's not very nice, Kralik. What are you talking about?
Well, she was asking all these questions, and we's not supposed to talk about it.
Are you not talking about it right now, or is that okay?
I don't think we's talking about it. You know what I'm saying, right?
No, not really. Sorry, the laughing was me, not the character.
This is very hard to talk about what he's not supposed to talk about.
Right, well, do you remember the thing that we're here to do that we're not supposed to talk about with people?
Yes.
Well, that's the thing that we're talking about, but we're not talking about. Understand?
Yeah, that's what she was like, asking questions about it, you know what I mean?
No, but you didn't talk about it, did you?
No.
Because it's the thing we're not supposed to be talking about.
Yes.
Understand, Lauren?
Not at all.
Oh, boy.
I'll just not talk about anything.
Lord, you's gonna get yourselves one of these.
and I point to the headband I'm wearing.
It makes it real easy to kind of track this kind of stuff.
Aren't those really expensive, though? I don't think I have the money for that.
Well, I mean, maybe if your soul goes well, maybe we get a good payday. Hey, you know what I was thinking? Maybe we can get these guys to like play something a little more upbeat. You know, maybe see if we can get Noel or Zeshel to stretch the legs.
Oh, I think that's a lovely idea.
Yeah, something real funky.
Hold on 1 second. And I will approach. I assume this is where the music is coming from.
Mm-hmm.
Excuse me. Pardon me.
The satyrs look up at you.
We need something with a real fat bottom and heavy on the ones, please.
There
Yeah,
is
what does that
clearly some
mean?
confusion immediately. Before the woman with many arms speaks to them in Sylvan for a moment, and then there's a very enthusiastic nod, as if this was the permission they have been waiting for, um, to play something that is not only spiralingly enthusiastic, but continues to pick up in tempo until you hear like the snapping of strings of bows.
Nice. Oh no, now where did they go?
We scan the room for, for Nolan's Ashel.
Let's see what they're doing first. Noel, what are you doing?
Noel is probably gonna like glance around, nod at Zashel, and go to just sort of stand at an equidistant spot where nobody is, with his hands kind of folded into his robe, and just sort of like, still very pleasant demeanor, just be watching and listening mainly, until somebody wants to be social with him, that is.
What's your passive perception? Again.
It's 19.
Okay. You feel as if you are being spied upon yourself.
Mm-hmm. I presume, unless told otherwise, that Noel isn't the biggest thing here, but Noel is wearing probably one of the weirdest garments here.
This is true. However, despite the attention you are going, like you naturally attract, some things are just kind of some folks just come by and greet you pleasantly and then and pass on. There is just from one side of the room, it just feels as if you are being peered into.
Who, or I should say, like, glancing, who is the one who is
It feels like it's
apparent?
coming from this direction.
Okay. Yeah, I mean, Noel will just, like, occasionally pleasantly, like, glance over there to see if he accidentally catches somebody's eye.
You catch the golden eyes of something that stands, or that sits over the balcony over here.
Mm-hmm. Uh, yeah, I think catching the eye, like, Noel just is still wearing, like, a pleasant smile, just nods pleasantly. Goes back to looking around.
It blinks, and then you look around, and then you hear a whisper from behind you, that just says, "You also watch.
Mm-hmm.
And what are you watching for?"
Nothing in particular. What do you watch for? Noel
I
is
need
not turning around to look.
I need some help from someone who watches.
Hmm. You will have to elaborate.
Someone has something that I would like very dearly. They will not give it to me, but they might give it to you.
What is the nature of this item?
You feel a hand that feels more like a paw with padded fingers and fur between each finger um, on your arm that sort of directs your gaze across the room um, and in about this direction.
Mm-hmm.
And then the voice says, "The fate spinner can grant foresight, but she will not give it to me willingly. She will not even trade for anything that I have or could. Perhaps there's something you can offer her And in exchange, I should grant you something?
Hmm. You propose a personal contract. This is interesting, but I do not know what you have to offer me.
Gotta figure out how I worded it. Hold on. I have a blessing that I can stretch upon creatures that move through darkness. I would be willing to grant it to someone who would be able to give me what I ask.
Hmm. Is this a permanent affectation?
Unlikely. This thing that I ask is not so strong as to merit such a trade.
You ask for foresight.
Yes, a glimpse into a future. And in return, the darkness will offer you protection.
Hmm. I see the advantage in this thing, but I cannot agree to a contract. Not without stipulation.
You feel the hand begin to lift, but then hold when you continue. What stipulation might you have?
Noel smiles and looks down at them for the first time.
You see
Paperwork.
you see a surprisingly tall person. She's probably a little over 6 feet tall, and she is carrying around her a darkness that the candlelight and the mystic color of this place does not penetrate. She has a gray cat face, and now that you are looking at her, her eyes are crystal blue, and she has most of her face covered by a hood. So she still appears to be in mostly darkness. And even though you can see this shadow around her, you do not necessarily perceive her or it in its clarity. Only by your high passive do you actually really see this.
Should I presume that you are royalty?
One should always. She smiles.
Hmm. Do you believe that she will be hostile in this request?
Her ears turn, and as she considers, and she says, I only know that she would be hostile to me. I do not know how she would feel about a creature such as yourself.
Hmm. Do you think that she would not trade with me if she knew that I acted on your behalf?
I believe that to be so.
Hmm. I am not good at duplicity.
Unfortunate. She retracts her paw.
Explain to me more the nature of this boon you offer, if you would.
Within the darkness, you should be able to move without effort. And darkness will protect you.
For how long? And only me?
Only you. Only anyone who would offer such a favor.
Hmm.
And this could be Something I could offer for, should we say, a week and a day? I understand that time is shorter in the material plane.
You mean to say that after a week, I would not be able to claim this offer? Or that is how long it will last?
How long the darkness should offer you protection?
So it is not something I can invoke at a later date.
If you wish, you could speak for it to be presented to you, and the week and a day might begin then.
Hmm. Will it be able to shield my companions as well?
She shakes her head.
Can I give it away, if need be?
Her paw goes into her cloak, and she retrieves a black stone carving. It reflects no light and only absorbs color. But it is a small figurine of a cat, maybe about 3 inches long. And she says, to have this and to break it, whoever's foot under which it is crushed should have the blessing of the Shadow Cat.
Hmm. And beyond direct boon, social capital will be curried, yes?
She nods. A favor with a Lord of the Beasts is no small favor.
Yeah, Noel is going to reach into his pack and take out a pre-made contract, essentially stipulating that Noel will endeavor to do this thing. If Noel manages to get his hands on the gift of foresight, the only way Noel could be found in violation is to keep that and not give it to her. In exchange, it has a lot of language about she can't, she's not lying, but she can't the gift has to have a level of specificity where she can't be whimsical face stuff.
Mm-hmm.
And also make it completely invisible to anybody but the two of us. Because that's the thing I can do with the tattoo.
Okay.
Wait, your tattoo does what?
He can write invisibly to
Hold on, let me link it.
yeah.
Do I have it?
So it's like there's like a spell or something like that. I think that works in that way.
Yeah, illusory script.
Illuminator's
Yeah,
tattoo.
yeah, cool. So it's like only the two of you can read this.
It's the paper itself, I believe, is invisible.
Yeah, that's cool. That's cool.
Illuminator's tattoo. Yeah. For some reason, it's not as a resource. I need to fix that. Or it is, and I just have too much shit. But yeah, that's the offer. Noah's also going to produce another essentially so I can make the writing invisible to everyone other than me or her. I can't use it again till the next dawn, that's fine. But I'll also produce another copy that will get quickly put into my bag if she agrees to sign them.
She will with glee.
Yeah. Essentially, the contract for the actual language stipulates that Noel will try and is bound only to try.
Bound
And
only
if
to try, and if succeed, turn it over.
Yes. If does not succeed, the contract is rendered null. Other than Noel will keep It stipulates that Noel will keep a copy of the contract showing that Noel was willing to negotiate with the Lord of Beasts in good faith. Should that, be relevant at a later date, if that makes sense.
Mm-hmm.
Because that's another element to this that Noel is angling on. Is the having that contract that says that can be eventually maybe curried for something later on. But yeah, I think after that is done, Noel will, like, without saying anything, like, eyes forward, like, nod, and start working his way kind of around the dance floor, like first going over to the like food table, not getting any food, and then going to the Weaver.
All right. We'll come back to that in just a minute. Actually, we'll take our 15-minute break. Then we'll check in with Zashel, and then we'll come back to some of these other things happening.
Cool.
I was fucking dying during your guys' dance. Holy shit. And Krellick talking to the Dryad. Oh. Dang.
Look, I almost slipped.
No, it was fantastic. And then that 17 deception, like, Krellick coming through.
Right, just beautiful. Like, oh, well, we're all very impressed with your ability to say things that simply aren't true. How do you do that? Oh, well, you just open your mouth, really.
Yeah, you just got...
Yep. No, it was him later saying, I don't even remember what it was, but she was like questioning whether you were being truthful, and you were just like, I don't know, maybe that's another one of my lies. And I was just like, oh yes.
Wasn't me.
It wasn't me.
Wasn't me.
I spent way too long finding art for all of these folks.
The Queen of Beasts Jill.
I don't know.
They're all gorgeous and I love them.
Yeah, they all look so cool. Hey, is this Zashel now?
Yeah.
Because when we started the game, I was like, who the fuck is Dracula here? Because I'm like way zoomed out.
Right, with that sweet cravat.
Yeah, I zoom in and I'm
That
like,
cravat.
Yeah.
Some bitchin' formal wear.
Yeah.
I drew that some time ago.
I like the eyes.
Okay, then there's a good chance that I am wearing one of Zashel's ascots.
I did not think that Noel would be the one to make a contract with someone. But
I mean, I feel like there was almost one for Krellick a minute ago.
Mm-hmm. Well, Noel's also doing it somewhat responsibly, though there is an element of risk in even approaching the fate spinner. But like,
You know, I do like the idea that every morning Zashel wakes up and his ascot drawer is a little askew and there's a couple things sticking out of it, right? And then when he goes down to see Krellick, and Krellick is clearly wearing one of his ascots, Zashel, probably the first 4 or 5 times it happened, is like, all you need to do is ask Krellick. And Krellick's like, ask what? If you want to wear one of my, like, just ask and you can borrow one. No, this is mine.
what? I found it.
Krellick, like, I recognize my own ascot. That's mine.
The best part of this is that Zashel has been staying at the casino, which means that every morning that 2-foot drop twice.
Right.
Krellick, on the inside is embroidered my initials. No. No, they're not. Oh, let me look at it then. No.
That's my nickname. That's my nickname.
That's right. They call me the Z-Man.
Last name?
What?
What is Zashel's last name for his initials?
He actually does not have a last name.
Oh, so is it just a...
It's just
He does
Z.
have a clan name, however.
Oh.
Which technically which technically goes before the
Proceeds. Yeah.
yeah,
It proceeds.
it precedes the first name.
Would that be in
Right.
their embroidery though?
It could
Probably in Draconic.
Probably, yeah.
be. It could be.
Yeah.
That kind of kicks ass, actually. Cravats
Oh,
that have
wait.
Draconic embroidery on them.
Hell yeah.
Can Kralik even read that? He's
No,
Nice.
no,
Well,
that's my name.
yeah.
Sometimes, yes.
Yeah, sometimes it can.
Yeah, occasionally, when the
I just
stars
saw-
align.
I just saw how much health Yop has. Nice.
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 That's right.
You'll only
Honestly,
see how
every
healthy
time I pull the character sheet up
Nice.
since I've leveled up, it's the first thing I say to myself. Nice.
Nice. Nice. I'm gonna
It's
try to
such
get
a
a
nice round number, you know?
yeah.
Yeah.
It's got a lot of symmetry. It's a fine number.
Perfect.
I'm gonna get a Cat Lord's blessing, maybe. It should be useful.
Yeah, I mean, whatever that is.
Yeah.
Nothing to worry about.
Yeah.
Look, the darkness will help.
Will it?
I mean, at least it won't hurt me. The darkness will shield me per her description of it.
Yeah, shield you from the anguish of living.
That's fair.
Isn't that just you dying and your soul being trapped in a dark place? I'm sorry, what? No, I didn't say
Or a
that.
week and a day at least.
Yeah, then you get to come back. Where were you? I was in the void.
To be honest, Noel's more excited by the contract.
It's like someone wants to make a
Is it
deal.
because of
Okay.
paperwork?
It's the fact that Noel has a contract signed by some kind of FEY royalty. In other words, some of her subjects someday, Noel could present and say, "I bargained in good faith with your mistress."
Yeah, there's
So-
power in these words. You know?
Yeah, it's the idea of like just knowing that even if Noel doesn't succeed, knowing that Noel got a piece of like contract of paperwork that is signed by her and engaged in like a good faith negotiation on his end with her.
Mm-hmm.
That is useful,
Yeah,
at
it
least
is.
to a person like Noel.
Yeah. I think the best part is her subjects are cats and catfolk.
Mhm.
But it's all cats and catfolk.
Uh-huh.
Mm.
Yeah, no. I fully expect there to be a time when Noel produces this and talks to a fucking does speech of beast and leaf or whatever. Talks to a fucking cat.
Talks to a cat, yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, they can understand the meaning of my words. I can't understand them, but I do get advantage on charisma checks to convince them.
I mean, I could help translate for you to help you
That's true.
convince them better, but
But yeah,
I'll,
in the
I'll just
future,
translate what they say, and you can talk to them on your own words.
I can parlay with a good cat. Don't worry
Or-
about it.
Or bad cat.
Or a
Yeah.
bad cat.
Yeah, maybe you want to hang out with the bad cats.
These cats have. These are sewer cats.
He's nasty cat. Ah, tunnel cats.
Tunnel cats.
Nasty in the
cats.
good way, right?
No.
Yeah. Well.
Oh, I just thought you could use nasty in like a good way.
Yeah. I think so.
I don't actually understand slang. I do not understand.
Well, I mean, yeah, you can definitely use it that way. You know, like just like the word "cool." You know, it does. Or if you're describing something as bad, you know, it can be good.
It's so confusing for non-native speakers.
Yeah, you're not wrong.
Yeah, slang in any language is difficult because it's a cultural. It's extremely cultural. So if you don't know the connotations to it, then
English particularly really likes to do the thing where things mean multiple things and only context can tell you which one.
yeah.
I love those sentences that have words like that.
It's like talking about what you're not supposed to talk about.
Shh, be careful, you're talking about it.
We're doing it right now, and
Good.
yet we are not.
I had a realization the other day that I have watched enough anime that I don't understand Japanese, but I know word choices. And so I know when the translators for, like, let's say the dub or even the sub, have to work with something like that where, like, oh, they used a word and that's not actually what that means, but the context is they're doing the best they can to try to make it into English. That's not
Yeah.
quite right. That's not actually what they said, but they're doing their best.
Yeah.
I mean, there's other times where I'm like, they're not doing their best. They're localizing this really weird. I don't
Yeah.
like it.
Mm-hmm.
You want some jelly donuts?
Oh fuck, I forgot about that.
That's a classic.
Yeah.
That fucked me up as a kid. That really confused me.
I think I found the music I was listening to last session. Relaxing pagan music. 1 hour.
Ooh,
Hell
I
yeah.
love that.
Relaxing pagan.
It's just it's essentially loose Celtic music.
Right.
Not quite as bouncy though, you know.
I like the idea of lo-fi pagan music.
Lo-fi pagan.
Okay, I don't understand what lo-fi is. I keep hearing it like it's a trend, but I don't understand.
I don't know what the actual definition of it. It's one of those things where I don't actually know what it means either, other than I know it when I hear it.
Yeah. I don't know what the definition is, but as I understand it, it's contextually, it's just, ooh, that looks great. It's
Low fidelity
just,
is what lo-fi actually stands for.
oh, there you go. It's
Uh,
just supposed to be low key um, background noise you can have.
Yeah, like actual lo-fi will have uh like it says the fidelity isn't actually like 100%, so there'll be like slight editing errors or like crackling noises.
Crackling is the big one.
Yeah, it's
Mhm.
it evokes a very nostalgic kind of relaxing thing in a lot of
Lo-fi,
people.
yeah, lo-fi is supposed to have a almost harkening back to like vinyl and the hissing noise that vinyl
Yeah,
will make before it actually starts
yeah,
playing, which
Yeah,
Yeah.
other
it also
mediums
means
that's
don't
what I was
have.
looking for.
it means something different. Yeah, it means something different with digital music
right, than it does with
Correct.
analog music, right? Because with digital music, what it's actually referring to is sound. When you record it, it's in a curve, right? But you can't create a curve digitally because everything's ones or zeros, right? So the way they approximate that is with tiny little squares, right? And you stack them up to match the curve, right? The smaller the square, the more closely you can match the actual curve of the original analog signal, right? And so that's high fidelity, that's high bit rate recording. Low fidelity just means the squares are bigger, which means you're not matching the curve as accurately. So it sounds a little fuzzy and a little washed out, right? Because it's not as true a representation of the original signal.
Yeah, a little rough, but it's it
Welcome to
is
my nerd talk.
it is it is relaxing.
cool shit.
Yeah. It's like you ever listen to those videos or where it's like Sinatra's playing in the room next door. It's just muffled noise.
Oh, God, I love that.
Yeah,
I love those. So
Mhm.
good.
All right, are we
I don't
back?
think I've
Doug?
listened to any of those. Wow, feel sad.
So,
All right, Doug's
I really
here.
like the lo-fi stations you can find on YouTube. They're really good.
Mm-hmm. All right, that means I've heard everybody. All right, great. Okay, so Zashel, what you up to?
As everyone heads into the dance floor, Zashel will turn to look at Lucky and just say, "Well, I suppose there's just the two of us now. I'm going to head in and find a character, I suppose."
mingle.
She kind of laughs. And says, good luck.
Yeah. If I look like I'm about to be killed, please come help me.
You got it, boss. She's gonna head actually this direction. Who's got your eye? Who do you have interest in speaking to?
Well, not because Noel has made a deal, but because they were the last person in the room. The only one that stood out was the Weaver. So that was my initial plan.
Okay, cool.
It was either that or Oberon, and that seems like a terrible plan. So
Oh, wow. What? How cruel. Unfair.
I feel like there is something bad there, and Sarah wants us to poke the bear.
I
sure.
kind of actually really do want to go talk to Oberon.
Honestly, that
but-
is a big mood energy to just walk right up to the man.
Yeah, fuck it, let's do it.
Yes.
Hell yeah.
Straight
You
in
hear
the
that? Yeah,
ascot.
I heard it.
Straighten that ascot, boy. Get in there.
Dust some
Fucking
shoulders
goaded
off.
Goaded him into talking to Oberon. All right, we see you.
You gotta walk with a swagger. Gotta walk with a swagger.
How's Ashel's swagger right now? What is he doing? What's
Yeah,
his
put your
swagger
shoulders
like?
back.
As he walks in, he's like, doing the thing where you roll your shoulders back, kind of pop
Yeah.
your neck, like loosen it up.
Yeah, you gotta get big. Gotta get big.
Actually, important question before I get all the way up there. Can
Uh-huh.
I summon Quetzal?
Yes. Yes.
Excellent.
Oh, yeah,
I
that's
will
right.
do that with a
Emotional
snap.
support.
Quetzal will appear, and Zashel will put him in his customary spot up on his shoulders.
Hype man.
Right, man. Yeah, that's right.
You see many of these summer Eladrin who are his attendants and dressed in the green robes that Vicaris always wears have a much more serious and dead-eyed expression towards the rest of the party, but Oberon himself and many of the other hunters that are all dressed and painted as he is are already in revelry. They're very much, however, sticking to themselves, as it would appear. And as you approach, there is some laughter that sort of dies down, and the crowd sort of parts to allow you to be seen by the Lord. He has his arms back against the couch and his feet onto the table, and he says, "Who is this?"
Lord Oberon, I am Zashel, decisionist for the Lighthouse franchise of acquisitions incorporated from Saltmarsh on the material plane. And Zashel will bow.
He raises a hand and tilts his head in your direction. "And you know who I am."
I do. Somewhat. We were given a, well, I suppose the colloquialism is crash course in the who's who of FEY politics, and it seemed well, it would be rude to not greet such a person with such high standing. We are here at the invitation of the Lady Chandria for the winter festivities.
He nods and gestures for a place to be made for you so that you can sit down.
Thank you. And Zasha will sit.
"Ah, so they speak of me in such fashion as to merit a crash course. What sort of things might you know about me now?"
Very little, truth be told. It was a very high-level understanding of who important people such as yourselves are. I understand that you are the master of the hunt, that you are consort to Titania, who is Chandria's aunt, I believe.
He nods with a smile. "Consort is a filthy word, but an accurate one, I suppose. And
I
besides the
suppose
formality, what has brought your interest in conversing with me and my men? You don't seem the type to take interest," and he looks you up and down, "in the sort of entertainment we often find ourselves seeking."
well, to begin, I suppose consort's only a dirty word if there is judgment. I don't judge. I am admittedly not much of a hunter, much to my father's chagrin, I assure you. It was a skill he tried to impart many times.
He
As
takes some
for
interest, visibly.
what brought me up here, well, you are a undoubtedly important person within the court here, and I suppose while we are here, there is never a terrible time to represent my franchise and my business. I assume you are at least passingly familiar with Acquisitions Incorporated. Not that I imagine there is much call for their service here.
Uh, the passing understanding we have is simply that you have managed to fetch some fascinating attention and hunt fascinating quarry within the wilds. You do not, fortunately, tread upon my own territory, but you have come very near and dear, and I have taken interest, simply, in the gall that can really be ascribed to such hunters.
Hmm. The only creature I think we've actually hunted within the Fae is the creature known as the Blight Lord.
That
Can
is
I
correct.
correctly assume? Yes. There was an agreement with Chandria the last time we were here. The creature vexed her, so we dealt with it to appease a slight.
Wise on your part, at least in the manner of handling the princess. And I think I can let it slide myself. And his head rolls from side to side.
I thank you for your generosity then.
Tell me, since you are here, I can only assume Chandria has expectations of some performance for you and your men?
Then, to settle, yes, there is an expectation to which we have been sworn a certain amount of secrecy. So I trust you
Ah.
will understand that I am unable to divulge anything even as it settles our affairs.
Secrecy, I understand. Privacy, I can barely respect. And contract, I am obligated to oblige. But, skirting all of that, you have faith. You trust the princess. She is capable of this, of pulling off such a risky maneuver. There's many people here. Strong, certainly, but also many who are frail. She chooses to use them like bait. Not only that, but has brought them here under the guise of celebration. What think
Perhaps.
you of that?
I think, should the plan succeed, that, well, and he will gesture out over everybody dancing and the music and everything, this celebration would only be the beginning. I have every confidence in Chandria to be able to, well, at the very least, I have every confidence that Chandria believes she can do what she claims.
Hmm.
Given that that is the case, we are happy to support her in this endeavor.
Spoken like a councilman. She has
I
confidence, and she has
will.
strength, but perhaps not enough of either.
I don't know. I think there's probably enough here to shore up any areas that might be lacking. Granted, much of to be blunt, the only times that I have seen the princess in direct action, while they have certainly been impressive, it has not been hard to tell that the princess has outmatched her competition considerably. The closest, I would think, would be my associate, Krellick the Red, and he will gesture as at Krellick.
His head turns, but his eyes do not leave you.
And you, here, with a veritable list of the highest ranking within your society. What do you think? Is there no one here who will, what is the phrase? Turn the tide.
She is lucky to not only have me at table, but to have me under agreement. And anyone else here, should they have been so foolish as to matched to have matched. He turns his head a little bit farther towards the room, but again does not break eye contact with you. There are many here who might prove themselves cowards. There are many here who provide so deeply to that will of the forest and of the wilds that they might make the judgment call that they should not be here. They might just leave. Some are strong enough to break contract with Chandria. Certainly incurring penalty, but one they might weather. No, I think here she has collected a variable crew of hardly willing soldiers. And certainly many of us are none. And he gestures to his hunters. Killers, maybe, but not soldiers.
Is that meaning no offense? If the Blight Lord was a target of yours for so long, one that you had your eye on, your hunters here, I mean, we dealt with it, so I have not a doubt in my mind if you had put your mind to it, you would have done the same. Surely any one of these, he gestures around at the other Fae, might have caught some favor, garnered some attention, and yet the creature lived?
You're right. But I'm not here to curry favor with Chandria. I would have been seeking the head of the Blight Lord for the thrill of killing something so mighty that she would have needed my help. Simply put. And many of the folks here, they have much to attend on their own time. After all, this is Chandria's responsibility. Our assistance here is favor within itself. If she is so powerful, so mighty, so deserving of Titania's favor, she'll prove it. She shouldn't even need our help.
Is it not enough that you assist the other citizens here of Astrazalian against the Fomorian threat?
They are not my people.
Interesting. Well, I suppose it would be impertinent to ask, but I must wonder, you don't care for the people here, you don't... allow me to rephrase. These are not your people. They are not under your guidance or protection. And yet, you are here under, I believe you said, contract to Chandria. But you don't find her strong enough to do the things here tonight that you believe she intends to do.
He says nothing.
I would never begin to believe you a coward, like you said some of these others might be, so I know you won't leave for that. But I find it curious, then, what it is that allowed you to form a contract in the first place. And I know that that is a personal matter. But still, I must wonder, while you are here, what it is exactly beyond completion of this contract you are hoping to accomplish. This seems like something that could have been satisfied with your hunters, or perhaps a hunt master, even, but something requiring the personal attention of the Lord Oberon. You are here instead.
Because Titania would never forgive me if I let her darling niece die.
Ah,
And she might. As I said, this plan is cunning, but perhaps ill-placed. Perhaps. There could be a debt that could be written if you were to assist me in keeping her alive.
I think that can be considered, although without consideration from the rest of my franchise, I cannot. Well, rather, I will not enter us into any sort of binding agreement. But based on the pact that we have already made and the considerations we require afterwards, I think this will be within the existing parameters of our current deal with Chandria. I am It will be enough, I think, for now, to know that we have assisted the great Lord Oberon in keeping his niece alive and keeping his Queen Titania happy.
He leans forward over his knees. She should fall to this Phleos if she is not defended. She is brash at the best of times, and the strength of her power is not one she has proper containment of. She could burn this whole palace to the ground if she is crossed or felled. He puts his hand to a leather strap around his neck where there are a couple of baubles. They look like beads. A couple of them look like they might be teeth of animals. A contract with me will be stronger than anything you can forge with her. That I assure you. If you were to fight by my side and help slay this Fleos, you and the other members of your, what was that quaint word you used? Franchise?
Mm-hmm.
Adorable.
Functional.
Both. I could provide you with trophies of mine. It would be a great, great blessing to have your assistance to keep Chandria alive.
I thank you for your generosity, but there is another consideration in that there is already a deal in place, one which, as you understand, we are wow, my brain just went. There is already a bargain in place which we are obligated to live up to. That said, I see no reason that your goals and that deal remain mutually exclusive. By way of settling accounts, when the time comes and this plan goes into effect, the actions of my team, my franchise, my companions, our franchise, I suppose. It's not my franchise. I need to. Regardless. Your offer is generous. Beyond generous. And while I cannot accept in letter, the moment we arrived here and found out what the princess intends to do, it was at least accepted in spirit. There is... Once this plan is executed, a further obligation that we have need of Chandria's assistance with. We will not and cannot receive that assistance without her continued survival. And so, while accepting your offer is certainly within our interests, it is poor form for me to accept on behalf of the franchise. Not without their input, and unfortunately, my ability to contact them right now is not where I would like it to be. Suffice to say, contract or no with you, we will endeavor to fulfill its obligation nonetheless.
He sits back and rolls his head. All right. God. You speak like a councilman.
I will Well, I don't know your definition of a councilman, so I'm not sure if I should be offended or not, but it is a way of making sure that things are plain and understood.
Yes. Yes. Yes.
I must admit, for a realm that seems to thrive so much on the no, I do mean the chaos of emotion. The strictures and dealings and laws of commerce in this place seem, well, they seem even a little much even for myself. And that says something, as anyone in my
Ugh.
franchise would tell you.
I completely agree. This city alone is dreadfully boring and intolerable to stay in. I remember when this plain was nothing but level ground and a single tree. A single tree.
Does that tree
Then,
still stand?
naturally, is
Hmm.
the tree. Without it, this place has no power. I have no power. Auril has no power. Titania has no power. The most vulnerable thing in the entire world. What could possibly be more spiritually chaotic than the entirety of a world's balance, order, life, and death be in a single organism? One that no one can control, one can hardly speak on behalf of, and one that everyone must physically rely on. At least in your plane, people are welcome to live and die however they like.
Perhaps. But at least what can be said for this great tree is that there is a unifying force to that. Something that binds every creature here, at even the smallest level, to each other. You've been to the material plane. You know that that is not the case there.
No,
Nations
it's
and petty
incredible.
squabbles and
Everyone is so upfront with their desires, their willingness to take. You people are capable of telling untruths, but you are more honest in anything that you ever want than any of us could ever possibly dream to be. And it's admirable.
the 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 irony being that I suspect if any of you were as honest as the people of my plane, no one would ever believe you anyway. So much seems to be wrapped up in intrigue and half truths and side truths and lies of omission that the simple act of doing nothing but telling the truth would perhaps be the biggest deceit of this entire plane.
He grins and he says, I'm aware. My son is the living proof of such.
Ah.
Never has a creature so desperately wanted to be, so boldly honest and truthful with what he wanted and what he was willing to do to get it. And he has all but the thing that he wants the most was taken from him.
The Shadowfell. Forgive me, that was also covered in our primer. Do not mean to imply any understanding of the pain that he has suffered. In fact, I am incapable of that understanding.
His head tilts to one side. But you're not wrong. Consider my offer. For your sake, for Astrazalian's sake.
Zasha will stand up and bow. I will do so. If I have a moment, I will speak to my franchise members and perhaps some accommodation within our existing contract can be made. If not, rest assured that we will. There I go, speaking for everyone again. Rest assured that I, at least, will do everything in my power to make sure that the princess survives.
He nods.
It is limited power by the reckoning of many creatures here. But on the other hand, I can think of a few things that, well, assisting one of the great Fae of the wilds is no small task.
He
Enjoy the rest
nods,
of the festivities.
extends a hand to you, and yeah, you can wander off.
I will shake his hand and wander off.
All right. Everyone having had some form of encounter, I feel like it's only fair that everyone bump conveniently into one another. How's that sound?
Gotta help Noel out still, so.
It would help Noel out a little bit, I think.
I think Yap and I are like actively calling them over once they're like not doing a thing, once they're like milling around again.
Mm-hmm.
I'm
Yes,
like
I
in the
have-
process of working my way over there.
While this has gone on, I have gone to fetch Yop and Lucky to dance with us.
Who?
You are Yap, so I assume you mean Betty?
Or Betty and Lucky to dance with us. Yes, thank you.
You can see Lauren is limping around the dance floor, sort of like struggling to continue dancing.
Lucky is hanging out with a couple of the hunters and Killjoy, but then we'll come into we'll follow after. Yeah. All right.
Cool.
I can only assume Vakaris was about to head over to somebody else, and then here's the beckoning and
Pretty
walks
much.
over.
Is
All right,
there
gang.
anything to report?
Yeah, what's this?
Yap, are you ready to show him our sick two-step we've been working on?
Yop is already backed up like 10 steps and is ready to leap again.
No, he's
No.
it's the one we was practicing the other day,
No.
right?
Oh, yeah, absolutely.
Right, okay. You go, and then I'll go, and then we finish together.
Absolutely. Ready? On three. 1, 2, 3. No, I'm stuck on your drip slope hook again. Hold on. We want to start over.
If If I could interrupt for a moment, the
Certainly. And Yop will try and lead.
the Lord Oberon and I had a chat. He's a very direct person, which I appreciate. He has expressed. Zachel will actually look around and make sure nobody is able to overhear us at the moment,
Why don't you make a perception check?
because I'm bad at those.
I mean, if he looks like he's trying to be surreptitious, I'll probably do the same.
My passive is 15, if that helps.
Okay. Null, why don't you also give me a perception check? Null, you're acutely aware that there are a lot of people who are looking at you.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, we're sick
Yeah,
dancers.
I figured they'd be looking at us. I just didn't know if they could overhear us over the music and all that. Regardless, the Lord Oberon has expressed interest in a secondary, well, a second, I suppose, not secondary.
Noah's gonna
Agreement.
hold up a hand and say in the sign language, like, there is a language for this occasion. In the sign, we use it for our, like, secret language.
You guys also have a private room.
Yes, that was going to be my other suggestion, but honestly, I don't think it's that important. Although, Noel, I do appreciate the I do appreciate the thought. Mostly, it's a very simple and not at all clandestine thing that only conflicts with our current obligations based on proximity. Essentially, the Master of the Hunt insists that we keep the princess in good health. It is a concern of Queen Titania that her niece is well, and thus it is a concern of Lord Oberon's, and thus he would like it to be a concern of ours. I have assured the Lord Oberon that much of our compensation for the current agreement rests upon her continued good health. And so, while hesitant to change the existing parameters of, or rather, while hesitant to change the parameters of our existing agreement, which would put us, shall we say, closer to the action, I assured the Lord that this was still something we would endeavor to do.
This does not supersede the previous agreement. It is simple enough. One presumes that if we had aided her in this endeavor, and she was successful, but had fallen, then it would fall to Bishop to see that the accounts have been balanced. As it stands, this is simply another contract, further complicating the existing one, true, but it does not need to be rewritten.
That's what I'm saying, Noel. I did not agree to any contract. I did not
Yes.
obligate is the word I'm looking for. The franchise to... I did not obligate the franchise specifically to do anything. It was mostly a matter of where our actions during the upcoming... Yeah, exactly. Which is what he's trying to say without saying shit out loud where people can hear. proximity to our host versus proximity to where our host has assigned us. I don't believe, given our relative strengths, that continuing with our existing proposal will necessarily become mutually exclusive to the results that Oberon desires. I expect that when the princess said things get underfoot, she was in fact being literal.
Wait, what does that mean? Like something will go under her foot?
I am suggesting that many of the chaff that the princess has requested we deal with so that she does not have to will be able to be dealt with near to her person, thus enabling us to fulfill both contracts. Well, not both contracts because there is not a second contract. To fulfill our first contract while also completing the spirit of the second would-be contract, if that makes sense.
Right, you're gonna impress the big man.
I don't care about impressing the big man, but my point is that perhaps
So,
we
like,
should
an
go
unofficial contract. Is that what you're saying with no paperwork?
He's trying to impress him, right? It's currying favor.
Sorry,
Anyway,
I never learned much about contract writing.
Hey, look,
My point is, I apologize for interrupting you, Krellick, but I just want to make sure that this is clear. We have our obligation right now with the contract to Shendria to keep the underlings away from her while she fights with Fleos. And Zashel is saying this as quietly as possible, but at this point, whether or not people can hear me is not really Zashel's concern. Secondary to that, or no, parallel to that, in tandem with it, is the need for our host to survive that encounter. It does no one any good if that does not happen.
yeah, well, she better.
I think my biggest concern, although I'm apt to accept both contracts, as seeing as they're not necessarily opposing and we can do both, is what if we can't fulfill it? There's always a price to pay if you don't fulfill your contract.
That's why I didn't make a second contract.
Yeah,
We
that's
have
why
the
it's
first
unofficial with no paperwork, right?
No, it's not even unofficial. I am telling you the interests of the Lord of the Hunt, one of the most high-ranking individuals, not just in this building right now, but in this entirety of this plane.
Oh,
I
okay.
am making it clear that should there come a conflict, we have our actual contracted obligation. But if there is no contract, there is, in a sense, a secondary objective.
Right, again, you just got you impress him. If you do it, you impress him. But we don't have to do it.
So it's not a contract.
No, it's not a con. Look, can we stop talking about fucking work?
Are we not here to work?
Well, yeah, but I mean, you look around you. It is a party. Can we just relax?
Well, honestly, my
Like,
feet kind of hurts from all the dancing, so I'd rather talk about work.
not to mention, Krellick, that most of the individuals who are here are contracted to be here, so it is as much work for them as it is for us. I take your meaning.
I look around the room. Are people having fun?
Yeah.
Yeah. I
There
look
there
around the
are
room.
several very somber soldiers that still are here, but there is plenty of folks here who are intentionally apparently having fun.
Yeah.
Cecil, come on, mate. Of all the places, this is the place to let it go. Just let loose.
Feel free. I just wanted to make sure that the fruits of my discussion were clear for everyone so that when things do, and Zashel actually air quotes, go down, we are all on the same page.
I will reprioritize my magics slightly, yes.
I leave that entirely up to you, although, given that we don't know when this event will be occurring, that seems like we may not have time for.
You mistake my meaning. The usage of my magics.
Ah, I see. Then, again, I leave that to you.
No, will not.
On the rest of you, surely you've had more casual conversation.
I am in the midst of a personal contract.
Zashel looks plainly surprised.
I will relay the details in paperwork form later.
If you need assistance, I will be around.
So, as I understand it, we are fulfilling the spirit of the would-be contract, but not making another contract. Correct?
Correct.
If that
We are
changes,
fulfilling the spirit
let me
simply
know.
because
Our first contract requires it.
exactly. To accept the second contract would have been in direct conflict with the first, by manner of execution, as it were. In one case, we are doing as we are currently contracted to do. In the other, we are foregoing that methodology for a new one, which is directly in conflict. But while fulfilling the first, if it should become necessary to complete the second, I don't think that there will be any considerations of breach. Allow me to put that in plain terms. If it looks like Chandria is in trouble, we should help her, because I doubt she will be mad that we did if she survives. And would not have otherwise.
I have a query. He looks to Vicaris. All things can and do die, but there is immortality and functional immortality, yes.
Yeah.
Which does she have?
So, am I wrong if I say functional?
She is eternal so long as she is not killed, just as any of the other Archfey.
So yeah, functional.
Yep.
Yeah, she's immortal until she's not, so functionally.
You see Noel has a big, the widest smile that you've seen, where you can actually see some of the kind of back teeth, and he's like, the paperwork will be challenging for this. Excellent.
Right. Well, if there is nothing else, then...
Actually, I'm a little confused, actually. It seems to me that if Chandria dies, then we've failed on all counts. Is this
No.
not correct?
No. per our current agreement, we are to keep the chaff away from the princess so that she can fight her target without any interruptions. If we do that and she were to still lose, that is not in violation of our current agreement.
Yes, but our agreement is with her.
Hence why I say the spirit of the second one. If
Right,
not the
but
letter.
if our agreement's with her and she dies, then she can't fulfill the contract.
This is true.
And
Well,
her prey is very likely looking to kill her in this type of fight.
Well, obviously, right, but if she can't win, then she was never gonna win. So, I mean, it is what that is. But, I mean, obviously, you would have written in language, no, that says, on in the event of death. So, we's covered.
Yeah,
Oh,
Nolter
very well
nod.
then. Very well then.
This is
I'm no longer confused.
way of contracts. There is the question of our survival should she fall, which is not a small concern. But
Yeah, I think that's on us.
yes,
We should do our best from our position, not near her, to make sure that she does not. Is that more clear?
to do my best, I will need to be within a certain distance.
Yes, as long as we are out of the way. I'm
Yeah, look, I wouldn't interfere. I don't
Luckily,
think that she would like it, because I know that I wouldn't.
if we take out of the way to mean quite literally out of her direct way, this is not a problem. Per the wording of the agreement, this should not be a concern.
okay. Krellick, you're right. This is enough work talk.
I start bobbing my head a little bit. I
I
look
will
at Zashel,
continue
bobbing
with
my head.
personal contract. Null starts waves and starts to walk off in this direction.
What kind of music is going?
It's
It
got a fat
is.
bottom and it's heavy on the ones.
Yeah, it's
Yep.
heavy.
I do like as best as a turtle can, a little body roll, and
Oh, God.
Krellick's doing the worm.
Krellick and Yop attempt to pop and lock.
right,
That I feel like is attainable for a turtle.
yeah, that's probably a little bit.
Zish, you feeling this?
Zashel will hold out a hand to Lucky.
She'll take it.
Are there any chairs here that I could sit down at?
Yeah, there are plenty of there's space up in these up on the balcony where you can rest.
There's a couch over by Lord Ober.
Yeah.
Mhm.
Yeah, that I'm not too bad.
Zashel does not say that. Zashel is
I'm gonna limp my way up the stairs because I think my foot has been stepped on multiple times, but also I'm not used to dancing.
How dare you?
My foot hurts. No, like I stepped on my own feet because I can't follow the pattern fast enough.
We have been told that Lauren has those big kind of
She has flippers.
big
You've seen
flippers
them.
feet. So yeah.
Yeah.
It's tough.
She will discreetly sit down in a chair and take off her shoes and wiggles her toes underneath. I hope there's a what is it, tablecloth that covers the table.
Or were you gonna say something, Krellick?
Yeah, I snap my head at Vicaris and give a sharp tilt of the chin.
What you got? Come on, Vic.
Yeah, I guess I'll attempt to copy what he's doing. With a little flair, of course.
Do you feel like that's something that needs rolling, or do you think you got it?
I think I got it, but I want to roll.
All right, okay, let's roll a performance check.
Alright, there it is.
Yeah, by nature of his performance, Krellick, you think that you must be an excellent teacher.
Oh yeah, for sure.
Is Zashel a good
The
dancer?
student has become the teacher.
Probably not.
Okay,
Again.
Zash, hold on. Let me lead.
I will. Yop looks around and turns to Betty and grabs Betty by both wings as she extends her neck and rests her beak on Yop's shoulder, and they flap wings in unison.
I'd like to look at Vicaris, right? Copy some of his moves and then start moonwalking
No,
backwards.
I'm inspiring that. I'm inspiring that.
Uh-huh.
I'd like
There we
to...
go. Fuck
There
yes,
you go.
That
Hell
was
yeah.
worthwhile.
One.
Wow.
There you go. That's it.
Powerful.
Finally got that tango. Fuck yes.
Oh my god, look at him move.
I'd like to
Driven
moonwalk moonwalk backwards to this owlbear, turn around to him, and
Hey, big guy, what you got? I know you got something in there.
Its a big moony face turns towards you, large antlers swinging, and leathery bat wings kind of stretching and crossing the ground. I'm sorry?
and I'm talking to the owlbear.
The owlbear, or the creature right next to him that is also an owlbear?
Well, this one looks like an owlbear. This one looks like something else. So
They are both owlbears, just the other one has, as I said, antlers and bat wings.
no, sick.
Yeah.
But not that one. It's not the one I chose.
All right. The other one doesn't say anything then, but the weirder one does respond to you.
Oh, okay, cool.
Yep.
I look at them and say,
Hey, is your friend Dance?
Unlikely.
What about you?
Its wings stretch out and flap as it lifts itself massively onto its hind legs with great bare paws in the air, and then drops back down. Not necessarily. And then from behind him, there are three women who look entirely identical, and as they are moving, they seem to almost be moving both in fluidity with one another, but also in almost exactitude with each other. And then they speak together in unison and in harmony. We dance.
Ooh, okay, alright, well, let's see what you got.
I look towards the owlbear though and say,
Hey, you know, a lot of people think that I can't dance. And they's mostly right, but they don't stop me.
This will be considered. And then it starts moving weirdly. All right. Noel, are you ready to continue on your way?
Yeah. First, I'm gonna cast guidance on myself and try to do a history check to get anything I know about this individual
Sure.
based off of the name,
Mhm.
so like Weaver of etc.
Mhm. And guidance.
Nice.
All right, that's pretty good. The Fate Spinners are a circle of creatures that can help determine and also assess futures. They are the greatest diviners that exist on this plane, and likely in others as well. There only appears to be one, though with a 25 you'd know that there are many. They keep themselves very well hidden often because by their nature they are horrifying monsters. This one, however, seems to be in a bit of a state of, not necessarily flux, but leniency, allowing her weird spidery features to leak into her humanoid visage. She, as you get closer to her and her head lifts to see you from under the brim of her hat, you see that she has 4 sets of glowing eyes.
Yeah, I will cast guidance on myself again. This is not a thing Noel does very much, because Jurgel's not the kind of person you ask for this sort of thing a lot. But in this particular case, it's a bit extra. And I will approach and bow, and then first in Sylvan, say, may I have a moment of your time? And hold up a tier 1 pamphlet.
By what measure do we take moments?
A good clarification. Perhaps 5 minutes of time relative to here right now.
Her long arm extends for the piece of paper.
Yeah, Noel proffers.
What does it say?
This one just says, fresh mint makes me sneeze. Well, sorry, it says, I, Noel Scrivener, am informing you that fresh mint makes me sneeze.
She folds this piece of paper and tucks it away.
You are a spinner, yes?
I am?
Formidable.
You have precious moments, Noel Scrivener.
I am here to attempt to procure a boon of foresight.
For what purpose?
To fulfill a contract.
Whose contract?
I do not believe I am required to say.
Her mouth opens and you see wide, broad fangs. This is curious.
Indeed. I am made to understand that you are a creature of... It is not paperwork, but it is similar. Paperwork of what is to come.
A manifester and a predictor. A reader, more appropriate.
I am merely a scrivener. Specifically of who and what has been. I say this as a formality, so that you know what I am.
You scribe the fates of things that have happened, and I read the fates of things yet to come. I see the parallel you are trying to impress.
Suffice to say that I'm very interested in what it is you do, but that may be a discussion to have after the allotted 5 minutes, if you are amenable.
We shall let the 5 minutes determine such.
That is acceptable. I would ask then what it is that you would want in trade for a manifestable boon of foresight, limited obviously to a single use.
The gift of foresight is certainly one that I am capable of bestowing upon any creature, but it comes at deep sacrifice. Your fortune should be altered. Your fate and goodwill should be taken. For a time.
What do you mean, specifically?
To trade for the force and the manipulation of the future to your own goodwill must sacrifice an unpredictable nature, an unpredictable future, an unpredictable reality. You wish for good luck that you can manifest on your own, then bad luck should come your way in a way that you cannot control.
Ah, I wish for a glimpse. A manifestable glimpse, to be specific.
I know what you seek.
Would then that the manifestation of this boon is what then incurs the ill fortune?
It is more of an inevitable, but we practically incite it as trade. For the sake of the creatures here. She gestures with two arms out to everyone on the floor. They understand a very specific set of laws in a very specific set of ways. We use language that they understand.
Ah, and so if I took this from you, would the cost be incurred to me or the individual to which I will potentially give it, per the contract?
It should be taken from the one whose hands I have placed this fortune. Yourself.
I am not at liberty to bargain with my fate. My fate is a fixed one, sealed.
I believe you have purchased more time for discussion. Might there be another, then, if you are so desperate for this, that might take this fortune in your stead?
Per the contract, if I am to give this fortune away. You have bargained with me in good faith. Thus far. No apparent unseen stipulation. I am not truly obligated to be secretive in my dealings here, and I judge that it would be more efficient for me to tell you who and what I am trying to procure this for. Noel's eyes like glance, not in a way that would be seeable over there, but saying, I believe this individual has perhaps asked you for this thing already. I would ask that you not look to them.
Her eyes blink one row at a time in a fluid motion, and she says, that creature is undeserving. She has extended her own life as long as she has deserved. She has been blessed with eternity and continues to tempt fate, as creatures such as herself often do. I will not willingly part with anything that could extend such a weave.
There is nothing I could could offer in trade, yes?
Perhaps, and this is unfortunate to phrase such, but a deeper misfortune. Perhaps the Lord Threy has something that he is willing to sacrifice to assist you, to assist the Queen.
Out of character, Lord Threy, is she referring to the cat?
Lord Threy is someone I don't know that you've bumped into yet, or necessarily was in your documents, because he would not
Huh.
have come up.
Pardon, I do not know this name, Threy.
He is a member of the Hunt. He is allied with the Green Court and a servant to Oberon. And he sits just up there, and without turning, she lifts one arm to indicate the balcony behind her.
And what is
He
it
has a
she's
sobriety that the Wild Hunt do not usually maintain. He of all might likely have something you could trade.
Pardon, but how does this relate to our agreement?
If you can find something greater, a boon of his own, a fortune that he is willing to sacrifice, then perhaps I would reconsider the illegitimacy. The Queen might ask for her extension that she bids.
I will pursue this then. I do not believe it requires formal contract, but I'm not bound to ensure that their wishes are fulfilled. I'm merely attempting to do so.
She nods.
Your conversation has been quite pleasant. Is there then, if I were to make an agreement on behalf of myself, an agreement I could make with you for a later conversation?
She smiles again with those large teeth. Certainly.
Noel produces a contract, and essentially over the top, it it has a lot of language about like pleasant conversation, and the fundamental reading it over, if I'm imagining she's pretty intelligent, is essentially like a friendship agreement. And on the top of it, Noel will actually put a tier 4 pamphlet.
Holy shit. What is this one?
This one, all it simply says is, I remember my mother's voice. Specifically, I, Noel Scrivener, am informing you that I remember my mother's voice.
This is precious.
Indeed. I am trading it in hopes that beyond a formal conversation, there will come a time when we can have a conversation about something of my choosing, should I wish it.
She grins and nods.
Yeah, so Noel will formalize it, basically fold it up very neat and like put a little bit of sealing and hand the one version of it to her, and he will hold out to show in still in Sylvan the copy to show that there is no additional provisions or mislanguages. It's just a copy.
Mm-hmm. All right.
And yeah, he will nod, reach a hand out to give a give a formal handshake.
She takes it in a spindly, thin, wiry hand.
Yeah, it's important to note that Noel has not been flapped at all by any of the weirdness or spideriness.
Right.
just like taking it all in stride.
Mm-hmm.
And then yeah, Noel will turn his eyes up and go I guess walking towards this guy, Thray.
Yeah. All right. I think we'll
Noah's wheeling and dealing, I guess.
yeah, kind of is. I think we'll handle that next week. I didn't expect
Yeah.
that one to go on, but I didn't think you were gonna tell her who you were talking in behalf of. So
There's nothing that said I didn't have to.
yep, you're correct. Ah,
Like
it's good shit,
I
dude.
I knew it was the problem of Noel, I don't think thought he was capable of lying well enough
Mm-hmm.
to that would eventually become an issue. Um she made it kind of clear that she was about to start like spiraling towards making him answer questions. So he was just like, fine, hands on the table then.
Mm-hmm.
This is gonna probably incur a greater cost. That's fine. I'm not actually obligated to accomplish this task for the cat person. I'm just trying to in good faith.
Real quick before we close, any last minute things anyone needs to say or do?
I tried to do a sick breakdance move.
All right, this one requires performance.
Yes. It's a 9.
Breakdance? No.
I'm just kind of spinning, I think.
I
on
think you're
the
just
floor.
on your back and spinning and then get a little nauseous, but you don't throw up.
Nailed it.
Is that it? Okay.